Y'all, I'm Kelsey Browning, and I'm back for the 5th episode of Behind the Scenes of A Love to Last, my new contemporary romance. Again, if you've been watching the videos, you've seen it a few times. Whoops. I swear, I'm going to get this camera thing at some point. And if you've been tuning in, you've heard me talk about the book in these last few videos, but if not, the whole premise of this book is, what if a pair of custom cowboy boots could not only tell you what you're destined to do with your life, but who you're destined to fall in love with. So I have been super excited about this book and have had some great feedback from our reviewers. But today, what I'd really like to do is talk with you about what? Cowboy boots. Michelle Harlan, hey girl, mentioned that she would like to know a little bit more about the symbolism on the boots, and it was one of the things when I was researching that I found fascinating. So I just wanted to, I'd like to tell you that I have this all pre-prepared and memorized, but I would be lying. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to take a little bit out of Jennifer June's book, The Cowboy Boots, The Art and Soul, because this was a huge resource for me, and tell you what Jennifer has to say about some of the symbols, and if you're really good, I'll show you the pictures too. Not all of them, because that would take us forever. So, flowers. Now, flowers are very, very common symbols on boots, but they may or may not mean what you think they mean. So, Jennifer says that flowers were among the first inlays stitched on a boot top, and that the enduring popularity of the flowers can be seen as a gesture that pays homage to here and now, because basically cowboys out on the range would see a flower and think they may be the only person to ever see that flower bloom, which is a pretty cool concept. And she says there is a special nostalgia stitched into many a flower inlay. With transience often comes a sense of longing for endless, untamed lands and adventure. And for those of you who know me, you know that I definitely have a thirst for adventure. So I was really excited to read that about the flowers. Oh, and I told you I would show you pictures, so I want to go back on that. Of course, I love this pair because they're black and red. So I'd love to show you all the pictures. Like I said in the book, we don't have time. You don't want to watch a video that long, I can promise you that. Butterflies. I mentioned in an earlier video that you see a lot of butterflies on boots, and one of the things I didn't realize is that boot makers really like butterflies because they're a very symmetric pattern, and a lot of times you'll see them on the shaft on the top part of the boot, and it apparently, I say easy, very easy, it's kind of crazy, but that the boot makers like it because it's a very, very symmetrical design and it's beautiful. So Jennifer says, no doubt about it, butterflies are God's gift to boot makers. Bright, colorful, and absolutely symmetrical. So what she says is that butterflies invoke the feeling of wide open spaces and freedom of movement. But there's more. Butterflies, like the American West, are enduring symbols of personal transformation and metamorphosis. So, oh, and here's one of my many, many tabs in here. I'll show you some of those. I'm a big fan of those light blue ones up in the top corner. So let's see what else we've got here. I feel like this is story hour. I feel like I should be at the library. Venomous critters. I mentioned the other day, y'all saw a picture of a rattlesnake on one of the boots that I showed you out of this book. But she says that basically that no doubt, because these things like snakes and scorpions, no doubt because they relate to the boot's original function. Whatever the danger, the foot is protected and the wearer can walk with confidence, which is definitely true. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm out in a rattlesnake infested field, I would definitely want leather cowboy boots on. Now, let's be honest, if I knew it were rattlesnake infested, I wouldn't be out there in the first place. But these, I wanted to show you the pictures because these are incredible. She also talks about how as boot making has evolved, that boot makers tend to make them more and more realistic. And I don't know if you can tell on the video, but this is, whoops, hang on, there we go. This one is actually puffed up, and this one here, this, oh, I didn't want to touch it. I'm assuming it's a tarantula. It's actually fuzzy, which disturbs me and should disturb you too. Cactus. I also mentioned cactus. So it says, unlike more fleeting and delicate desert flowers, the cactus is a lasting symbol of survival and endurance, which makes a lot of sense. They can endure a lot of climate and heat that most plants can't. Oh shoot, hang on. Sorry, I keep forgetting about the picture showing. I would have been a horrible preschool teacher. A little fun fact about me, some of you may not know, I actually am a certified teacher in Texas. Secondary, I can teach all secondary social studies. Be afraid, be very, very afraid. Texas as a symbol. You knew that we were not going to get out of this video without a little bit about Texas. So Jennifer says, Texas is America's second largest state, both in terms of population and geographical size. And I'm just going to do a shout out right here to Nancy Nagel and Pam Murray that I don't want to hear a word about Alaska. And Jennifer says, although there's never been an official count, it is safe to say that more cowboy boots are made and worn in Texas than anywhere else in the country today. And I believe that this book has a publication date of 2008. Today, there are close to 200 custom boot makers in Texas, more than the rest of the states combined. So it's one of the reasons when this idea came to me. I mentioned that I saw an ad for Rocket Buster boots several years ago in Southern Living magazine, and it just felt so right to me because as a native Texan, I grew up with cowboy boots all around, and for some people maybe who live in other parts of the country, cowboy boots equal cowboys. It's just a the roping, riding thing. Well, it's definitely true that, cowboys wear cowboy boots, obviously. But in Texas, cowboy boots are a way of life. And it really doesn't matter if you're, a corporate person, if you're a blue collar person, whatever. I would be highly, highly surprised to find out that a Texan hasn't had at least one pair of cowboy boots in his or her life. So mine have obviously gone through iterations. Many of you will remember the Ropers. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, they were made very popular by George Strait. And they had a very low heel and a rounded toe. Now they also had lace-ups as well that had that rounded toe. So, and one of the reasons that many Texans love cowboy boots is because, let's be honest, they are absolutely the best two-stepping shoes around. And I have danced in all kinds of shoes, and I can promise you what you really want when you're out on a honky-tonk dance floor is, especially if you don't know your partner very well, you want something that's going to protect your feet. If you do know your partner well and he or she is a great dancer, then what you want is a nice smooth sole on that boot so that you can boot scoot around the dance floor. So that's our recording today. I mentioned that I would probably do at least 5 videos. I do want to tell you a little bit more about the book, so look for video 6, maybe either later today or next week. And until then, later y'all.